Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Wherever you are in the world, my name is Ingram Jones and welcome to Balearic Worldwide Television. We've got a live event for you tonight. We have the recording artist and fashion designer all the way from the great USA, Hollywood to be precise, Souliare. Souliare, how are you?
I'm blessed. I'm grateful to be here today. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being on the show. It's an honor.
No problem. Thank you.
So let's get into things. Let's start by, obviously your name is Souliare. Let's talk a little bit about what you do. I'm introduced you as a recording artist and a fashion designer, but that's kind of boxing you. So let's talk a little bit more about who you are and what you do.
Thank you. So I like to describe myself as what I would call a master of the arts. I feel like I'm just an artistic soul. I love to paint. I love fashion. I love music. I think that they all kind of go together. Ever since birth, like I can remember being a little boy, I've always known that I wanted to sing. My greatest inspiration would have to be Whitney Houston. I think that the way that she allowed God to use her and bring him to the world, and maybe not necessarily sing gospel music, but you could definitely tell that there was anointing on her life. And that's something that I've always been cognizant of, and I've always wanted to carry that same type of anointing when I sing as well.
So when you first locked eyes on Whitney Houston and you heard her sing, do you remember the day or the time when it was, or what you were doing?
I think I was like 2 years old. I've loved Whitney Houston ever since I can remember. My family's always called me like an old soul. Like I was watching The Bodyguard in like 1992, and I was born in the 90s. So I have always never been the kid that's watched cartoons. Like my favorite movies were like The Bodyguard and Sister Act. So I've always loved music.
So obviously being different or being a creative, that ultimately takes you out of a box and puts you in a room of your own. And sometimes, especially when you're at school and you're trying to find yourself being creative, you're always told, oh, you should be like this or you should be like that. You can't do this. Adults are very good at trying to sway us in ways to sometimes, what's the word, sort of like suppress our creative being.
Yeah.
How did you deal with that being young?
I've always been a spiritual person, even since a young age. I just have always been a firm believer that the Creator will make room for your gifts, and I can't see myself doing anything else. It's amazing because I remember being a little boy and my grandmothers and them always telling me like, you're going to be the one that's going to be in Hollywood and put us on the map. And for me to be here today, and them to be able to see it, that's been like my greatest goal, is to make sure that I am out here really on my grind so that they are able to see me in the best light. Like that's my biggest dream. Like I don't want God to call them home without them really seeing me walk in my purpose.
Okay, you talk a lot about God. You're talking a lot about spirituality there. Was that something I know you said you were spiritual from young? Was that something that you were drawn to, or something that was innate? Tell us about that journey, the spiritual journey for you, and what it means to you.
I think that when I was younger, that was something that was taught to me. The older I got, the more I began to research and find out different things for myself, and that's when I became spiritual and not religious. I think religion is what separates people and, tries to pick out the differences and the flaws in one another. But spirituality is more so of a personal connection that you have with the higher power. Sometimes it's not explainable, or other people can't understand it, or it may be a little bit unorthodox. But I just personally believe that a relationship with God is like a friendship. You and I can be friends, and you can be friends with someone else, and we can be different type of friends, and the dynamics of our friendship can be different, but that doesn't make any one of us a better friend. And I think that goes with the same relationship with God as well.
Okay, so now let's talk about your journey, because where do you originally hail from?
I was originally born in a small town called Louisiana, Missouri, which is about 30 minutes outside of St. Louis, Missouri.
Okay, and the journey from there to Hollywood.
So I was born in St. Louis. I was born in Louisiana, Missouri. My mother moved to Peoria, Illinois, which is about 2 hours away from Chicago, when I was about 3 years old. So that's pretty much where I've been raised at. Once I graduated from high school, I went to a historically Black college in St. Louis, Missouri. And from there, when I did my first year, my major was in criminal justice. And after that, I realized that just wasn't for me. Although I had a passion as far as helping people, I knew that my ministry was greater in music and that I could be a more of an asset to the world doing something that I was passionate about. So I moved out to Hollywood when I was 19 years old with $60 in my name. And that was in 2010. And I've been here ever since.
To $60 to your name, you moved out to Hollywood, and you've been there ever since.
Yeah. It's
amazing.
I think sometimes when people realize is when you replace fear and you replace fear with faith, the possibilities are endless. And, you know, that's what I had to do. I had to really step out on faith and let that fear go and just know that I can, and, you know, I am great, and I am because he is. And that's what gives me the strength to carry on and keep going.
Wow. Amazing. So let's talk a little bit more. So you're in Hollywood now.
Mm-hmm.
When did that light bulb go off and you thought to yourself, or you realized yourself, hey, I'm not going to be doing criminal justice. I can sing, I'm a creative, and I can fashion design, I can paint. What was it? What was that moment?
I think it was my second semester. I was doing like, you know, full days of school. I would get up at like 6 in the morning and I'd be done at like 4. And there was just no passion in it. The only class that I really looked forward to was my African American music class and my African American history class. Other than that, it was very much so kind of tedious. And I was just like, I was tired. And, you know, I think with any creative person, we work best at the nighttime. So, you know, waking up early in the morning is not my favorite thing to do. I'd rather sleep in the day and then be productive at nighttime.
I feel you. Right. So, okay. So when did you understand in terms your voice would be able to carry you and take you somewhere? Because, you know, in this world, you either can cut it or you can't cut it. But even if you can't cut it, there are people still successful in this world. So, right. I mean,
I think that, I don't know if there was ever a point where I said, oh, I've made it. I think that a lot of people that are great, sometimes I think that in order for God to keep us humble, he never allows us to know our fullest potential of greatness so that we can continue to stay humble and recognize that these gifts aren't of our own, but it's to be a blessing to other people. So I don't think I've ever felt like I've made it, but I always just am appreciative of support. And, you know, I have just an overload of support out here. And, you know, with being in Hollywood, everybody does music, everybody's into fashion. So when you do get people that support you or looking up, you know, you kind of feel like, okay, well, maybe I'm on the right way because so many people are doing it. And I think that, you know, people are paying attention to me. I'm starting to, you know, be a face that people are beginning to recognize in the industry, which is kind of cool as well.
Competitiveness. I mean, I remember going out to Hollywood and going through Beverly Hills, and I mean, the culture there, for those who are not aware of it, people have got 2 and 3 jobs and everybody wants to be a singer, a dancer, an actor. You know, they've got 3 jobs. I'm working here, cleaner here, and then I'm going to be working in the waitress there, and then afterwards I've got another job doing something else afterwards, and then afterwards I'm going to jump off and call somewhere else. I'm like, wow, yeah. How do you live your life like that? It just seems so insecure almost. But then I also, on the flip side, I understand it because it's like, these are the things you need to do to get what you need to get to. So absolutely. Talk to me about that, the culture.
I think that LA is kind of similar to New York in the sense of the hustle mentality. You have to hustle. Being in the entertainment industry, sometimes, especially like with actors and musicians, you do a lot of gigging. So sometimes you might get paid, you can get paid maybe a nice amount of money for a certain gig, and then you might not work for another 2 months. So if you're not the best at budgeting, or if you're not like in the union where they're really fighting for those wages for you, a lot of people are going through and they're doing different side jobs. When I first came out here, I was a waiter as well, you know. I would be in the studio till about 4 o'clock in the morning. I'd have to be back up at work by 8 o'clock, you know, and then leave work, you know, go to my event and then go back to the studio and then get ready to go to work again. So sometimes I think that it really just tests your willpower. Like they say, the survival of the fittest. I believe that you have to be a strong person, and a lot of the time you have to hustle. Like you can't accept no as no way. There's a lot of people that are really just doing the bare minimum, and I think that anything that you want, you have to fight for. So I've always been a fighter.
So the competitive nature that it is in America, and all different people trying to be artists and trying to get through that door. When you go to Hollywood, how do you, inverted commas, stay in your lane, not be swayed by what everybody else is doing, who may be a little further ahead than you, those who are behind you? And how do you stay in your lane to remain competitive and be the best that you possibly can be without selling yourself out or compromising? Is the word.
Well, I think first is the most important thing is knowing that there's only one you, and what you can do, only you can bring to the universe. Nobody else can do that. So be confident in your gifts. I am competitive, but my biggest competition is myself. I'm always trying to do better than what I did the last time, not necessarily in competition with anyone else, because I know that I can't do what anybody else can do, and they can't do what I can do. So mine has just really been just challenging myself and really just stop procrastinating so much. I think procrastination is just a dream killer.
Okay, I saw something on YouTube. It was it was you singing, and it was like an event that maybe you put on. Talk to me about that event.
So I do an event called the Soul Slays, which is a quarterly event that I threw my first one on my birthday. And it's where when I'm out here, a lot of the times people are always asking me, what do you do? Because they see me in the fashion and they see me doing music, so they don't really know how those mix. So I started to do an event called the Soul Slays. The soul represents, the music with the connection that comes from your soul whenever you're writing something that makes it personal. And in America, we have this word called slay, which is just like when everybody's saying, I think Beyonce kind of made that word popular. But slay just represents fashion, it's just to kill something, like when you slay, it's to slaughter. So it's kind of like the soul slays put together, where it meets, music coming from the soul and the slays representing the fashion. So I highlight 4 local artists that are creating conscious music and allowing their people to vibrate at higher frequencies. And I'm working with eco-friendly LA-based designers and highlighting them as well. So we're just kind of mixing music and fashion together. And I'm really working on, just curating events and bringing other business owners together.
Let's talk about the importance of artists with a higher consciousness and vibrating at a higher level. Talk to us about what that means to those who may not understand what you're saying, and to those that do understand what you're saying. Talk to us about the importance of it in today's society, particularly in Hollywood.
Yeah. Okay. So, well, out here, I think that, Hollywood is a place where you see things on TV and it's kind of nothing like that when you get here. I can be the first to tell you that, the music industry, it's definitely has to, or just even the entertainment industry. I believe that if this is something that you're doing, it needs to be something that that is your life calling, because there are a lot of people that do it for the fame or the fortune, or because they feel like it looks easy, or they just don't want to work, or they like the glitz and the glamour. But there is a dark side to it. And that's why it's so important to be spiritually grounded in whatever, It doesn't matter if we have the same beliefs. I might call him Jesus, you might call him Allah, whatever that is, but you need to have something that you believe in that keeps you, able to sustain and have some type of a moral code, because there's a lot of things that you can get involved in. So for me, it's always just been, just keeping God first and just knowing who I am. I can't be moved, because I know my purpose and my calling, and I've recognized that sometimes in order to get to where you have to go to, you have to go through. So it's in relationship to what you said about the recorded music on the higher frequencies. Right now, they're making music that is recorded at very low vibrations, where they're making songs that are kind of depressing, or they're not really elevating people. They're very negative. There's hidden messages in there, subliminals. When you play the songs in reverse, there's messages that you wouldn't hear if you played them forward. Creating music at a higher frequency. I don't know if a lot of people know this, but when Michael Jackson recorded the Off the Wall, with Quincy Jones, he actually had scientists come in there that changed the levels to make sure that the frequencies were the right way so that people wanted to dance and groove. And that's why that album was so successful, because of the science behind it as well.
Wow. 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 So when did you come into understanding about music and I think it's is it backtracking they call it, or back something
When
yeah,
they're
back
doing the
taping.
music in
I think it's
reverse.
back taping. I think it is. Yeah. When did you come to the knowledge of that?
I think it was a while ago when I was a kid. Actually, I think it's a song that Missy Elliott has. It's called "Work It," and I think she was the first person that kind of started doing that. Where it had that backwards, kind of like they would rewind the song when they're actually saying what she's saying, but it's just in reverse. So I think as I got older is when I got more in tune with the messages of what was kind of being said. Like there was a rapper, I think, that was in one of his songs where he speaks about shooting at a reverend and different things like that. So hip hop is just it's a generation, you know, it's a big culture that kids are so influenced by these things. You know, when they hear rappers say something, when they see them wear a certain outfit, they think that is what they're supposed to do. So it's bigger than just music. You have to understand that whenever you have a platform, you should always use your platform to elevate people, especially as a melanated supreme being. We are already oppressed enough, and I think that it is time for us to recognize our greatness and the strength that lies within, and to encourage one another and to allow people to know who we are. We don't have to be ashamed. Our history books only tell us a little bit, you know, and they really only tell us the things that don't uplift us, but there's so much more to us as, you know, colored people, you know, and I want us to know that. So that's what my project has been about, is just elevating. I aspire to inspire.
No, there's a lot of stuff I want to talk about in there, but I want to come back a bit because you said that you work with some local artists as well. Let's talk a little bit about those local artists before we come back to yourself.
Okay, so I have an artist by the name of Candace Wakefield. Candace has written for Babyface, Tamia. She just got off tour with Ciara. She was background singing for her. She's done things with Janet Jackson, and the list goes on. I was excited to work with Candace because she's a phenomenal singer, and she's paid her dues in the industry. She's been doing background singing for over 10 years. So to be a part of her journey and for her to be of that caliber and to want to be a part of something that I'm a part of, and that was my first event, you know, I was super, super grateful. And then I also had another artist who was, she represented she was in the 2010 Olympics. Her name is Carol Rodriguez, and she ran the track and field, and she's actually getting into music right now. So it was really cool to work with her and see her transition coming from fitness into music. So I was just grateful because everybody was an up and coming artist. They were all humble, they were ready to work, and the sound was just amazing because, we had so much diversity. And then I had my two good friends that have been there since the beginning, since I moved out to Hollywood. It was important for me to put them a part of what I was doing as well.
So, okay, in terms of the genre and the music that you express to the world, talk to us a little bit about that. What's the genre? Are you hip hop? Are you rap? Are you reggae? Who are you? What music do you do?
That's where the name Souliare comes from. Souliare is more than just my name. Like, I have a logo that kind of fits with it and everything. It's a genre. I grew up singing in the church. I know that the gospel means good news, and I definitely think that my music is a representation of that. I'm a 90s baby, so I'm heavily influenced by R&B music. I love hip hop. I do rap as well. I listen to jazz, country, and classical. So it's just one big melting pot of music. If you love music and you are big on lyrical content, then I think that my music kind of, it's very much storytelling, you know. It's something that I was conscious when I was making this and in my writing process. Like, I was like, I want people that are going to work and have a dream, or if you're a college student and you're trying to graduate, for you to be able to put on my record and just feel inspired and kind of get you through the day. So that's been the biggest, you know, goal for this project.
Okay, for those people out there that want to know a little bit more about Souliare and how you sound or what you sound like, could you give us a taste of what you're about?
Of course. So I think my grandma's watching, so I'm gonna sing one of her favorite songs. It's by The Temptations. It's called My Girl. So I'm gonna sing a little piece, and it's like, I've got sunshine on a cloudy day. When it's cold outside, I got the month of May. Well, I I guess you say, what can make me feel this way? My girl, oh, talking about my girl, my girl.
Thank you very much, my girl. Fair enough. Okay, spontaneous. So, okay. So, in terms of what you would be doing when you're out, in particular, that what you were doing for the show I saw on YouTube. What was that? Tell us a bit more about that event.
That was the Soul Slaves. The Soul
Yes.
Slaves was an event where I partnered up with different designers and local artists, and we just created an event that was more of experience. I wanted to create an experience for people. It was my first time that I really recognized the influence that God has given me. I had over 200 people come out and support me. It was definitely what I'll say a faith project. There's a lot of times that I felt like giving up. I did that event in under 3 weeks. I hired a DJ. I paid for the venue. I had my red carpet, the step and repeat. We had an open bar, hors d'oeuvres. I had different I had this organic THC company that came and was selling like strawberries and different things that had like cannabis oil and things of that nature inside of it. So it was a great experience because I was able to learn how to work with different vendors and get into event planning, which is something that I'm really taking a little bit more seriously this year to just continue to create opportunities for myself and the revenue as well.
Okay, talk to us about the fashion design. That's something that we definitely need to look into a bit more.
Yeah, the fashion industry is, believe it or not, it's kind of harder than the music industry, only because it's a kind of more expensive in ways that when you get into like distributing the clothes and getting it manufactured at a mass quantity. I don't sew, so I work with pattern makers and different things like that, to where it's like I'm a very visual person where I am able to work with people and kind of tell them my vision, and they're able to kind of create it for me. So I'm working on a line called Soul by Soul, which is SEW by SOUL. And that's something that I'm hoping will be done by the end of the year. I'm really just giving all my attention right now to my music. But it's something that I'm just kind of taking my time with, and I'm downtown in the garment district and looking at different fabrics and kind of trying to figure out my main pieces.
Kanye West, the piece I'm coming with now, right? Kanye West is music and is crossing with the fashion, and he said on a Jimmy Kimmel show, he said that the problem with the fashion design or fashion industry for a black man, that there's nobody within the top of the fashion industry that he's been there for many years, he's gone to everybody, but there's no doorway for him to get to the very top. There's like a ceiling, and you can't get past that ceiling. And he's an A-lister. What are your thoughts on what he said there?
I try to be politically correct and just say the right things, but I guess sometimes the truth shall set you free. I think that artists have to take a stand. It's kind of like nobody ever speaks on Black people issues until it directly affects them, and then you want the whole Black community to come on your behalf. So there, I can't say that he's being dishonest in what he's saying, but I think that there are so many more important social issues dealing with our people versus the fashion industry. If that's one of his problems, that's very minute in regards to what is going on with the world with our young brothers that are being killed by our police officers. That a lot of artists are not voicing their opinions or saying anything about it. So in regards to that, I really don't have anything to say for Kanye. It's a lot more important things.
Okay, well, you've started the conversation, so we're going to go there. Do you think that these artists are not speaking out because they are obligated not to?
I think that I can only speak for myself. I think that you can say whatever you want. I think that there are publicists and different people that might advise you, hey, you shouldn't say this, it might be a little backlash with that. But I think that right now it's important because, as you see with Kanye West now, had it been someone like Janelle Monáe or Jadena, who, is very much into, African-American culture and our rights or something like that, I think that the outcome may have been a little bit different, or the support would be a little bit different. But when you have Kanye West wanting to say, oh, I'm this black man and I'm not being let in, and then you have him meeting with Donald Trump and different things like that, it's kind of like a contradiction. So I don't know.
Okay. The killing on the streets of America, the many black lives being for it's been going on for many, many years. It's not just now. So
Right.
we're under no illusion. It's not just now. What do you think is the root of the problem? And how do you think we can best go about making change in our community? Because we've got to start at home first. We've got to start with ourselves.
We do. I think that I think, honestly, I think the biggest thing is that as black people or melanated people, we're the only people that haven't got reparations. I think that when you look at the Jews and you look at the Indians and you look at the Russians, all these people are Indians. You can go get tested and get a check for your blood. All these people, the Jews especially, they get paid very well for the Holocaust, and the Armenians. All these people were, when they were mistreated and tortured, they were put back into society with a helping hand. Whereas black people, we were promised the 40 acres and a mule, and we never received that. But it goes all the way back to slavery, from taking the father out of the home, leaving the mother to raise young men. You know, I think that women can do great jobs at raising men, but it takes another man to really show a man how to be a man. I think so. Slavery really kind of set us back, and then I think that we don't know our greatness. We're not in tune with who we really are, you know, and those are things that they try to keep from us. But I think if we promote education, you know, if education is something that we start promoting within our families as a parents, we're going over our children's homework, you know, we're praying together, we're eating dinner as a family, you know, everything starts at home. You know, a lot of the things that kids learn, or the gang violence that happens, is because there's no structure at home. There's no love, there's no discipline, there's no you know, rewarding someone for wanting to dream higher or excelling. So even with my nephews, and they're only, you know, 3 years old and 1, as they get older and they grow, I want them to know that the possibilities are endless to what they can be, you know, and really just teaching them about life, you know, having them learn different languages and different things like that. It's hard to really pinpoint so many things, because it's so many things, going back all the way to just, I think with in the African American community, we don't know how to deal with conflict. There's so many times that people are molested, sexually molested and abused in the families, and it's just something that we just sweep under the rug. So we have to learn how to deal with things head on. You know, we've come to a place where, that's why I said I let religion go and I became more spiritual, where it's like, oh, I'm just gonna pray about that. Well, I do believe that God wants you to pray, but he said, you know, use knowledge, wisdom, and understanding in all things. So it's important to use this. Common sense is not so common. So we have to, you know, start letting our children know the importance of being married, you know, before having children, you know, and different things like that. I think that so many babies that are birthed out of wedlock and different things like that. So, you know, you're kind of setting the families up for failure, because there is no structure. Or if you are a woman and you're giving a man all the privileges of being his wife, what makes him want to marry you if you're doing everything that a wife would do? He's just like, well, it's just easy. I don't got to give you no ring or anything like that. So women have to recognize their queendoms, and I say men have to recognize that they're kings and step up to the plate, you know, and kind of break those cycles that are happening. A lot of times, other fathers that didn't have fathers in their life kind of continue that cycle, and they're not in their kids' life, you know, and some of them do stick around or whatever. But it's just important. Women, be careful, you know, be, you know, cognizant of the people that you're mating with, and men too, you know. It's kind of just, you know, it's more to sex. And I think that's why even out here, you know, the disease rate is so high and different things like that, because we live in a world where it's just a lustful world. You know, we can look on our TVs and through magazines, and, you know, sex sells. So once we realize the greatness that we have on the inside and what we have to offer the world that's bigger than sex, that's when we're going to go further, you know. But a lot of women these days, it's unfortunate, even some of my friends that are in my age bracket, they feel like by having babies by different men, that's going to keep them together and things like that. And that doesn't happen. So I think mothers have to really sit down with their daughters and teach them what it is to be a woman, you know, the virtue that she possesses being a woman. And men have to show their sons the importance of what it is to be a man and a provider, you know, and that household leader.
One of the things I would say is that if within our community we were to use these same sayings, same beliefs, same foundations, and put them into our songs, whether it be rap, reggae, soul, hip hop, if those things were put in our society, would that not help the melanated people?
It could if they would listen to it. You know, it's kind of like even in the world, sometimes people would rather believe a lie than the truth. And that's kind of even when it goes to music, you know. There are people that are like, oh, you know, I wish that there was better music with better lyrical content. There is good music out there. Sometimes you just have to look a little bit harder for it because it's so watered down by all of the other things that are going on in the world, or maybe the mediocre music. But that's going to be there regardless, because you have to recognize that even with the music industry, there is an agenda. There are gatekeepers. There are people that control really what the masses receive. And a lot of the times what happens in the music industry is it's about 95% business, 5% talent. It's a lot of politics behind the scenes. A lot of times you can even listen to the radio and there are select artists that you hear all the time. That's like Beyonce, that's the Drake, which are probably the two most prominent artists. And those artists have record labels that are paying radio stations to keep their music in constant rotation. Whereas an artist that is an independent artist does not have that kind of budget to pay a record label, a radio station to play their music like that. So there is music out there. You just have to go to different streaming sites like SoundCloud and the Spotify's and the Pandora's and stuff like that.
So all the stuff that you're talking about now is very, very good, very healthy, wealthy talk, high vibrational stuff. But to make it to where you want to make it, is there a need for you to have to walk through a door where you will have to compromise what you believe in now and your value system to make it to the top? It seems that a lot of artists start off with very good intentions and they seem very clean and very wholesome, and then over time the industry seems to shift into some other dark sort of energy, and from that bright light they started off, they end up going down the road of drugs, or you know, just see a slippery slimy road out to, I don't know. And
yeah, I think it really just depends on what you believe in. I think that sometimes people can just be easily swayed or moved, you know. So for me, I'd like to believe that, you know, I just know that even when I started out, I've seen a lot being in this industry. And sometimes I question, I'm like, God, is this really for me? Or can I do this? But what I always, I guess, grow comfort in knowing is that I don't believe that just the dark people are the only people that are going to make it to the top. I believe that, you know, there are some light holders that are doing their work. It might be a little bit harder for them, you know, but I think that you just have to stay true to what you are. But you know, but there's light, there is darkness as well. So I think that it's just a balance, and it's all about a choice. There might be more material gain that you could get from maybe doing something darker, or, you know, letting your morals down or whatever. But I just recognize that what's for me is for me, you know. So as long as people connect with my music and I'm able to tour and, you know, can do those kind of things, I'm okay with whatever God has for me. I don't need to be this big superstar. I think that everybody wants to be great and have the world to know their music, but whatever keeps me just being me and, you know, keeps my spirit and my soul intact is what I'll be fine with.
Sounds fantastic. When you talk about being almost being with the light or being a light bearer, do you think that if there were more successful people doing it via the way of the light, then people would say, hey, I've got a choice now. I don't have to go down this route.
I think so, and I think that that's where we're headed to. I think there are a lot of what I think that is most powerful about this generation is this is the most fearless generation. You know, we are not our grandmothers and grandfathers who were chased by those dogs and those water holes. We fight back. So I think with that happening, you know, that's the power that we have when you look at rappers like Chance the Rapper, who's very, you know, very positive and has great messages. You have people like Kendrick Lamar and the J. Cole's who are creating this conscious music. You know, I was very inspired by J. Cole's last album because he didn't have any radio songs. Everything was consciousness and for the betterment of his people. And it showed that you can make that music. He stayed #1 for 52 weeks. And he didn't have one major radio hit, you know, and he, you know, did tour it and all those kind of things. So it is possible to do those kind of things.
So we need more exposure for people like that then, surely.
We have to, and I think that as people like myself and yourself who have this platform to give artists, people the chance to be seen, we have to reach out to those people. A lot of the times we're kind of big on like the hits, or we want the views and the clicks on our site. So we just kind of go with what the media thinks is hot, you know, whether it's good or bad, or we believe in. It's like, oh, I just need these likes. I need this traffic coming through my site. So sometimes we have to take a stance and say, hey, although, you know, it'd be great to have somebody, you know, like a Nicki Minaj, you know, Janelle Monáe is just as good, you know, and I'd like to give her because of the social part that she has with her community and the activism that she does.
Okay, I've had another request. People are listening in. They want to hear you sing again.
Okay, so let's see. And I remind you guys, it's like 10 o'clock in the morning. I just woke up, so I've got my tea and I'm trying to get ready.
That's the thing about being live and exclusive.
You got to be ready. Let's see, what will I sing? Okay. Here we are face to face with the memories that can't be erased. Although we've known each other, things have changed. It's not the same. Sometimes it makes me wonder, where would I be if you hadn't discovered which I did inside of me? I know there was something that we could compare. Well, I never meant to cause you no pain. I just want to go back to being in the same. And that's Monica. That's called Before You Walk Out of My Life. And Monica is probably my favorite singer alive right now. If you ever pay attention to me, like most of my favorite artists are artists that when you hear them talk, or this is the thing that they believe in. Monica inspires me because she shows me that although she doesn't sing gospel, you can still come from a spiritual place and really lift up the name of God, and, you know, still sing the type of music that you want to sing, and just inspiring on ways that there is a balance that you can have in life. You know, some people get so caught up in this industry that this becomes their life, but this is a part of me. You know, I always tell people, I'm not a part of the industry. I just work in it. So with that being said, you know, my mind is not tainted. When I go home and different things like that, I'm just my government name. I leave all the Souliare stuff behind and kind of just go back to me and revert back to myself. So people like that, that kind of have that balance of spirituality and then still working in the industry, they inspire me because they show me that you can do it. You don't have to sell your soul. You know, you might have to turn down some opportunities because of your beliefs, and that's okay because you understand that greater is He that is within me than he that is within the world.
Okay, let's talk. So what's the next step for you now?
So the next step for me right now is finishing up this album. I've been working with a lot of great producers and been coming and when we spoke on the, you know, vibrating on the higher frequencies, a lot of the music that it's taken me so long because of production. A lot of the tracks that I've been getting, sometimes in the music industry, it's kind of like this monkey see, monkey do kind of thing, to where whatever producer is kind of hot at the moment and whatever his sound is, all the new producers kind of try to imitate that sound. But as an artist that prides herself on being an individual and unique individual. It's important for me to have my own sound. I don't want my music to sound like anybody else's stuff. So it's that the sound has been something that I've been working with and has caused me to become even more proactive and like really start to even co-executive produce my tracks, because I hear things a certain way and live instrumentation is very important to me.
Okay, I want to do something a little different. I want to see Hollywood through your eyes. Okay, typical event, a typical party, social networking event. You get to these events, what do you see in your eyes as a high vibrating conscious individual? What do you see generally?
A lot of the time you'll see a mixture. You'll see people that you know that inspire you, that definitely have influence over your art. You're going to see people that are unsure of themselves, and their uncertainty shows due to maybe just them being a little bit snobby or nose in the air and things like that. But really, to be honest, I think that Hollywood is a place where it is, it's a place where you can work and you can grow, but at the same time, it is, I hate to say this, but it's fake, you know? It's a lot of people here that have their nose in the air and, you know, kind of want you to bow down to them, and they really don't understand that we're all on the same journey, you know? So it's a lot of people that just need to be brought down and humble themselves. I'll say that.
So how do you interact and deal with that?
Well, for me, I love working off things that are just organic. You know, I'm really good at feeling people's energy. You know, sometimes there are people that I might want to talk to, but I'm a little bit shy, but I can't like fight that urge where whatever energy is given off, like I have to go and talk to them. And there are some people that, you know, they don't seem that approachable, and it's just like, oh, whatever, you know. But for me, I think that I've recognized, and this comes from, I think, just being a spiritual person. My grandma always told me something before I even moved out to Hollywood, when I was just very fascinated by like some of my favorite singers and stuff like that. She said, baby, when you've been amongst the true star, which is Jesus Christ, you'll never be starstruck. So I always keep that in mind, you know, just recognizing that God is the true star, and, you know, he's a part of me. So I'm just as great as these people. We bleed the same blood, and, you know, we breathe the same air. So it was a place of just dehumanizing them. I really don't think about them that often. You know, I'm in there kind of just doing my thing, making sure that I'm getting my Getty images and networking with the people that I need to. But anytime I go to an event, it's generally to, you know, try to network. I believe that your network will help enhance your net worth. So I'm always trying to shake hands, whether it's with producers, songwriters, publicists, different people like that.
Nice, nice, nice. In terms of product, album, what's happening with that?
So, and I'm working on initially I was working on a trilogy, and it was called The Soul Awakening. My single, The Soul Awakening, I did now. And the way that I'm doing my music is kind of like a very unorthodox way. I'm very inspired by Prince in the way that he releases his music. The Soul Awakening is a song that's kind of equivalent to his song Kiss, where there is no digital copy of it. The only time you can hear that song is when I'm doing live performances, because it's an experience. It's something that only you can feel through my energy when you're live and we're in person, versus what you'll hear sonically on a digital format. My new project is called The Soul Inspiration. It's called Soul Inspiration. And it's really just, it's that, you know, it's soulful, it's inspirational, it's feel-good music. It's definitely allowing my people to vibrate at a higher frequency. It's definitely the good news. I'm really just excited about it. What I'm most excited about is the fact that I taken the visuals to a whole nother level. I'm doing an EP. An EP is kind of like a pre-album. So it's going to be 7 songs. 7 is my favorite number. It's a lot of correlation within that. The 7 and 11. So I've been seeing 11s a lot as well too. So I've been a lot more into numbers. So that's what the Soul Inspiration is about. It's really just about inspiring people of the different things that I've learned, pushing the visuals. Every song that I record will have a video that goes with it that kind of shows the fashion and how they kind of correlate with each other. You know,
I'm going to ask you, don't you? You know, because you just kind of open yourself up there like a can of worms. It's like, well, you know, I do this live, and I'm gonna be doing that, and I've got this, and so I'd like to hear just a snippet of one of those tracks, if not one of those tracks, because we are technically live.
Yes. So. Okay, so I'll give you guys a little piece of the Soul Awakening. This song to me is just it's prophetic. I wrote this song in my mind first, and what I did was the words were coming to me so quickly. I pulled out my phone and got my iPhone, and I turned on my voice memos, and I had to start recording these lyrics, because a lot of the times the way that I work, or the way that God gives me music, is I don't really use pen and paper. It all comes from here. I hear the music, and that's the way that I work with producers. I'm like, if I don't start singing when I first hear your beat, then it's probably not something that connects with me spiritually. So this song was a song that just connected with me spiritually because of the words, and it was more about really encouraging myself. So it goes like this. It says, no matter the situation or the consequence or even the occasion, my back will never be against the wall. I bounce back, young king, you know I won't fall. I rise when they fall. I'm getting it all. I came from nothing, so you know I'm gonna ball. 10 toes down, you know I got the crown. My name ain't Boosie, but you gon' wipe me down. I'm upper echelon, heir to that throne. I got the frequency that's guaranteed to touch your soul. They ask me what genre, is it R&B or gospel? Best believe I'm coming through right now, pronto. I'm shining like the sun, hair blowing in the wind, bumping that old school Whitney Houston. When music touched the soul and had meaning and feeling, I'm trying to tell you this is the soul awakening. This is the soul's awakening. Oh, this is all I ever wanted, to feed your knowledge and you become conscious. This is all I ever wanted, to put you on game, have you walking in purpose. And that's the Soul Awakening.
Loved it. Absolutely loved it. In fact, I have to say that all what you were singing, that there really connected. It was like, yeah, there's that, and there's me. And it was like, yeah, that's definitely me. That's me.
Wow.
So, wow.
I wish you could have heard the music.
That was the one I connected with the most.
Thank you. That's because that's a personal song. That's my own song. I wish I could have had the music in the background for you to hear, but I'll send you over that track as well. But yeah, the Soul Awakening, like, even when you get to the chorus, like, that was probably my favorite part, because that was just like really where I'm at in my life, where I say, this is all I ever wanted, to feed you knowledge and you become conscious. This is all I ever wanted, to put you on game and have you walking in purpose. And that was really a testament to my family. You know, that's all I want to do, is to be able to, everything that I learned and the new information that God reveals to my spirit, I'm so excited to always go back and share it with them. And to make sure that they're living purpose-driven lives, you know, and the different things that they learned, that they're learning it for themselves, and something that has not been taught to them. So even things that I have, when I have questions down to spirituality and things, I'll call my grandma or my pastor and ask their opinion, you know, sometimes, but I still use my own mind to kind of dissect what I want to take for me and maybe what is not for me. And I think that's important for anybody to, you know, live a purpose-driven life and wake up on a consciousness level. You know, a lot of people don't know that. And I was telling my mom, my grandma, always sharing information with them in regards to like the toothpaste, and a lot of the toothpaste that they sell here has fluoride in it. And fluoride is terrible for you. I use a natural toothpaste that doesn't have any fluoride in there.
Amen.
I do oil pulling with coconut oil, different things like that, so that I try to teach my family, because even fluoride is in our water. So I only drink, you know, alkaline water, or water at high pH levels, or spring water if that's all that I can get to. But it's really just important for us to know these different kind of things, because they're not teaching us. It's not like in our day-to-day books that we'll be reading, so we have to research a little bit harder. But so going back to the fluoride, a lot of people don't know, as us being melanated people, we have a pineal gland. And with that fluoride, that when we're doing these different things, that is decalcifying our pineal gland. That is what is stopping us, you know, sometimes when we have those negative thoughts, are really just, you know, elevating and going higher. the more and more, you know, we stop drinking the sodas and different things that are decalcifying our pineal glands, we'll be able to elevate on a higher level and think on a higher conscious level. I began doing yoga maybe the beginning of last year, and meditating, and it's helped my life in a lot of ways, as far as just being able to have a clear mind, and really just exercising. It's really good for the body. And if you don't do yoga, or that's something that you're not really that interested into, I would just say meditate. Initially, before I started doing yoga, I used to just take long baths. I'd put candles in the tub, and I would go on YouTube and, you know, go to this artist. His name is Londrell, and he has different affirmations. And I created a playlist, and I would turn my candles on, and I would listen to those affirmations, and I would just soak in the tub and kind of meditate in my own spirit. So meditation is very important. You know, whether you're a religious person, you think, oh, I don't want to do the yoga, you can meditate on the Lord too. You know, you can ask God to clear your mind and to give you something and to really speak to you. But you really just feel rejuvenated and recharged and able to come back and really tackle the world the way that you're supposed to be. So many different spirits and energies that we encounter on a day-to-day basis, that we have to make sure that we protect our peace and we guard those, and keep our chakras aligned and balanced and all those kind of things.
The pineal gland, or the third eye, as other well known. Okay, let's talk. That was some heavy stuff, Dan. I loved it. let's talk about X Factor, The Voice.
Okay.
US has got talent shows. What does Souliare think about these talent shows? And would you ever see yourself on one of them?
Probably not. I like the shows.
I thought so.
I love the shows, but like I said, I think it goes back to, you know, just what you see on TV, what Hollywood represents, to really what the truth is. I have a couple of friends. I'm actually going to one of my good friends' show tonight. He was on American Idol. His name is Joshua Ledet, and he's doing a concert with B. Slade tonight, who is another great artist. When you do those type of talent shows, they make you sign a contract that binds you to that production company before you even win. So there are certain artists that have not even won, but that America's Got Talent, American Idol, they make money off of them. Everything that they do, they're getting a percentage. I think that it was Fantasia Barrino almost went bankrupt because of that. You know, they're taking so much money out of your thing. So for me, I had to really step back and learn the business. For any artist, there's it's a big yellow book that you can get at any bookstore. It's called Everything You Need to Know About the Music Business. And it teaches you a lot of different things. And a lot of deals that they're giving new artists right now, this is what's called a 360 deal. And a 360 deal is like a 70-30. The record label takes 70% of your earnings, you get 30%. And then they make money off of your merchandising, your tour, your streaming, and all of those things. And for me, I think that that's what Prince was talking about when he had Slave written on the side of his face. Nobody can make that much money off of my creativity when this is something that God gave to me, you know? So for me, it's just, I know that God will make room for my gifts. I am not in a place where I'm just going to. I think that's where selling the soul comes from a little bit too, when you kind of just sell yourself short. I know that what God has for me is for me. So those shows, unless they kind of change over the contracts, it probably wouldn't be something that I would want to do, because if you do not win those things, it's kind of hard to work unless they release you from that contract.
Wow, a lot of people didn't know that.
Yeah.
Great. Final question for today. On January the 20th, there will be a new president. What are your thoughts about the outgoing president, the incoming president, the state of America? And
I think that the Obamas were our most prestigious and regal people that we've ever had in our White House. I hope that people don't get what I'm getting ready to say, Mr. Screw, but I'm just a very honest person. I've had conversations with people where, you know, I want to say this. I don't know how to say this. I think that in any when it comes to politics, when someone is running in a presidential election, there are a lot of things that they promise people for votes that they're unable to fulfill when they get in office. I think that Obama was a great president for all that he could do. I think that he handled himself very classy. It's what I was most proud of, with him being a black man and his wife being an African-American woman, because I think that they wanted us to be something that we're not, or the stereotype. I do wish, this is only coming from a person that did vote for him, so I feel like I have the right to say that, I do wish that there were ways that he could have possibly did things more for the African-American community. And I know that people will say, well, you know, they would have fought him tooth and nail. He's not just the black people's president. But when you have a president that legalizes gay marriage, you know, that creates reforms for immigrants and different things of that nature, you know, I feel like he did a lot more for, you know, the LGBT community than he did the African-American community. And I felt like that could have created some of the healing that we need to take place in the black families. Even just something maybe as small as, I feel like anytime these officers are shooting these unarmed African Americans, there should be a private investigation that should be taking place outside of that police department. Little laws like that could have helped to really, you know, kind of help us build. But overall, I think that he was a great president. I love his tenacity. I love my first lady. I really wish that she would have ran. And in regards to Donald Trump, I think that I was not voting for Hillary Clinton either. I was Team Bernie Sanders. I really wanted Bernie to win. I felt like, for me, it's important for me to see, you know, seeing is believing, and for me to be able to see Bernie Sanders out there during the civil rights movement with Martin Luther King, let him know that he was on my side and the things that I believed in. What I did respect about Donald Trump was the fact that he probably was one of our most honest politicians that we've ever had. He's not the only politician that thinks that way. He probably was just the most vocal person. And I think him being that radical is what caused him to win, because it showed you that a lot of people in America still think this way. And I think the most troubling thing is that even though we've made a lot of progression, we still have a lot ways to go. But what I did recognize with that, when people were so confused and baffled when he became president, a lot of people didn't vote. It wasn't as big of a voting outcome as it was when Obama ran. So what I have to tell people is we have to remember that America was founded on slavery. Those were their teachings. You know, black people fought in the war and didn't even have the right to vote. You know, our first president had slaves. People want to say that Abraham Lincoln, you know, freed the slaves. He didn't free the slaves. He freed the slaves because he needed them to fight in the war with him to help them beat the South. It wasn't because he felt like we were equal. No, I want to do this. No, he wanted for us to, you know, be a part of what he had so that he could win. And even after that, we still suffered a great deal. So what I see is just that, you know, racism is real. As black people, I wish that we had the same camaraderie that we have, that other races have. You know, living in California, it's a big melting pot of a diverse group of ethnic backgrounds. And when I see Spanish people, sometimes they don't even know each other, and I'll see the women come up and they'll talk to each other and begin to start talking their language, or even the guys. Whereas us as a people, we'll kind of look at one another. Or maybe if somebody tells you hi and you don't know them, you're like, why are they looking at me? Or why are they, you know? So we have to really have that camaraderie with one another and love one another now more than ever, because I think that we're definitely going to see some hardships as colored people, you know, with our new president. And just because there are a lot of people that think the same way that he does and think that, you know, it's over for black people now that he is president. So it's more important now than ever to take our monies out of these banks and go to black-owned banks. I've been posting on my Facebook different African-American owned banks that we have in the city of Los Angeles. So that's important for you, for everybody to be, you know, Googling and understanding where these banks are at and putting our monies back into our communities. That's the way that we're going to thrive. And that's the way that they thrived before, you know, the white people came and destroyed their communities. We had our own businesses. We had our own communities. So it's time to rebuild. If you have a dream and God is putting something on your spirit or a business to open, now is the time to do it. If you believe in somebody and you're in a position of power, or you have money to invest in people, now is the time to do it. And that's really that's all that I can really say.
The economic blueprint for the African American, or for black people around the world, Absolutely, I agree with you 100% in what you've said there. We have to make changes. We can't keep doing the same things, expecting other people to help us out. We have to make change. And it's not procrastination. We have to do something because nobody's doing us any favors. If we're still expecting people to hand out for us, then we'll be waiting longer. Exactly. So we're going to forget about that. Souliare, thank you so much for being a part of Bwtm Worldwide Television today. It's been a great show. I really appreciate your presence, your honesty, your openness, your high consciousness. And can you sing us out?
Of course.
Oh, before you sing us out, how do people contact you? How do people get to know you and get on like your social media?
Okay, so my Facebook fan page is Official Souliare. Both my Instagram and my Twitter handles are @_Souliare, and that's SOULAIRE. I'm most active on my Instagram and my Twitter as well. So I'm going to be doing a lot of different giveaways, and so be sure to follow me on those things where I'll be giving away different clothes and items and tickets to my different shows and things that I have going on. So that, and I also want to say thank you for everybody that tuned in and that watched. It's been an honor to be a part of your show. I watched the Kanye West one that you did, and I thought that was really good and very informative. I love what you're doing. I want you to continue to, you know, make sure that you just continue to carry the light that you possess. I love the work that your wife and that you do, and just the bond that you guys have together. It's very important to support one another and to have somebody that encourages you and believes in you just as much as you believe in yourself, and vice versa. So thank you, Tia, for having me and facilitating this. I really do love you guys, and I'm so appreciative of that. And hi to all my family that's got up and tuned in this morning to see me as well.
Souliare, that was fantastic and beautiful, and thank you so much. And we want to be able to, anything you have in the future, with your permission, would like to show and air it on our channel. Give us a few exclusives so people can see where you're at and follow the journey.
All right, so I'll make sure to get you guys some exclusive information for my next event and some behind the scenes stuff for my music videos.
Fantastic. Souliare, the platform is yours.
All right. I've got a destination in my view. The road may be bumpy getting there, but I'm pressing through. I will enjoy this journey. No matter what comes my way, I'll become better and stronger and wiser every day. I've got vision and a purpose, a divine destiny. No matter what it looks like, faith ain't what I see. It is the things I hope for, believing that they will come. And no matter how long it takes, I know God's will shall be done. Thank you.
Thank you so much once again for being a part of Bwtm TV. Everybody, Souliare.
Thank you so much.
Let's give you one more round of applause. Because I like the number 3. Souliare, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. It was a blessing talking to you. Love and light.
Love and light to you too, brother. Take care.
All right. Bye-bye.